In the very first session, we learned about the concept of resonance, and this is really a foundational concept when you're working with people in any modality. So resonance is your ability to feel in your own body what's happening with your client. So we are pretty much becoming a receiver for the energetic transmission that happens from our client. So if you imagine that your client is a transmitter station and you're a radio, so you tune your radio on exactly the same frequency that your client is transmitting. Of course, like radio waves, we can't see them, but we know they exist. You tune your radio to a certain frequency, you hear rock and roll. You want to hear a different type of music, like or the news you tune it to a different station. The same happens with our client. They're transmitting constantly. We are transmitting constantly. Our brain, our heart are always transmitting information. So as a supporter, we are opening ourselves up, we're tuning ourselves on the frequency that our client is transmitting. This is called resonance in this work. So what's needed for your resonance is to actually be empty so you are able to receive. The main quality that we develop through meditating is emptiness. If you're full of your own broadcasts, you will not hear what your client is trying to say or what your client is trying to transmit. If you come into a session and you have a bunch of stuff on your mind and you have an agenda for this session, you want the session to go a certain way, you're already transmitting too much. And so we are here to be receivers. And so we can base our support on what we feel in our physical body. And so if you take, for example, a string instrument like a guitar, violin, or a cello, so it has a bunch of strings with it's called shaft? Yeah, shaft. Yeah. And then we have a resonating chamber. The quality of resonating chamber is that it's empty. If you stuff this resonating chamber with your dirty socks and underwear and your laundry, it will not resonate. The sound will be very flat. The quality of an empty room is that it resonates sound. So the emptiness is the quality that we want to bring into a session, our own emptiness. So a lot of the times it would come up for you that we want to see something happen in the session, and you have an agenda. Whether that agenda is in sync with what your client wants or not, and you're actually missing what may be already present because you're concentrating on your agenda. So this way, when we come into a session empty, we leave our agenda behind and we allow ourselves to be just present for our client. So in this session, what we're going to explore is working with breath. Breath is movement. I'm going to go a little bit into the 6 elements also in the beginning of this session. So 6 elements of biodynamic breath work. So we have breath as a primary element that we work with. Breath is needed for activation. Breath is needed to start that broadcast. When we begin to deeply, fully breathe, we activate the energy in the body. Breath is energy. The deeper you breathe, more energy you have in your body. Your body converts oxygen into energy. So we need to first bring up the energetic charge and sustain this charge for a certain time so other elements can become active. The breath, in its essence, is movement. So movement is the second component of biodynamic breathwork. When you're fully, deeply breathing, there's movement happening in your body. It's in to our breathing. Your diaphragm is moving up and down. Your rib cage expanding, called auxiliary musculature, is active. Your intercostals, which have 3 layers of muscles, there's superficial, deep, and very deep, and they all go in this kind of crisscrossing pattern, the fibers of the muscle. So they assist in your respiration. There's lungs expanding, contracting. There's pelvic floor that's involved in your breathing. There's thoracic inlet. There is serratus muscles that lift your rib cage. So all of these structures are involved in the breath. So we take that movement that's already happening in the body and we manifest it into external movement. So we help it a little bit. So we have breath, movement. The third element that we will bring in is touch. And touch has 4 layers. The first layer of touch is your intention. Before you even begin to approach someone with touch, you first need to create an intention. Why am I approaching this person with touch? What am I trying to achieve in this touch? The second stage of this touch is approach. So you begin to come into your partner's energetic field. And today's session will be focused around working within your partner's energetic field. Starting tomorrow, we'll go more into the actual body work. But today will be good for you to experiment, even if it's not your first time with this work. But again, come back to basics. It always helps to take a step back, to come back to basics. Even if you're a bodyworker and you've been doing this for years, come back to what it feels like to have your hands above the body and watch how your partner responds to just you being in their energetic field. Yes, this is the third element, touch. Today we'll just work with energetic touch mostly. The next element is sound. Yes, we use our voice, our vocal expression. It will also be music, which is external sound. But our voice is the most powerful musical instrument we have. It impacts us directly. It comes from the inside. So the vibration of your voice impacts cells in your physical body. It sends ripples through all the fluids that we're made of. Yes, so the water is about 70% of our constitution. So we use the sound to impact the opening from the inside. But it's also an amazing way for expression. The next element is emotional expression. So if you have these 4 elements, breath, movement, touch, and sound, this is a perfect recipe for emotional opening. Because the tension that we carry in our physical body begins to soften. Within this tension lives the emotion. The emotion comes up to the surface. If that happens for you in your session, beautiful. Let's work with that. So include emotions as part of our experience. So we don't really focus only on the emotions. They're just one of the elements. And the next element is meditation. So we bring the meditation towards the end, and the meditative quality is present throughout the entire session. As a supporter, but also as a receiver, we want to use this ability to self-reflect, to cultivate your inner witness. And so in this session, we'll try to bring all these elements elements. Sometimes it doesn't happen that all of them are present in one session, but most of the sessions, from my experience, involve 6 elements. So, yeah, Bella? Now let's take a moment to connect. Let's take just 3 breaths together so we kind of attune. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, one more time. Now, I want to ask you to just be aware of your body. Continue to breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. We use connected breath. And just being aware in your body where the breath is moving naturally without you directing it in any way. And I want to ask all of you to turn on your receivers. Just by breathing, by sitting here, Belle has already started her transmission. Try to pick up what's being transmitted. Now, as you're breathing, bring your attention to your physical body. Let's look for a place of resource. The resource is a place of safety, place of connection, comfort in your physical body.
My hands.
Great. So feel your hands. Spend a little more time, a few more breaths, and keeping your attention in your hands. And I want to ask you, what makes your hands resource? What are these felt sensations that brought your attention to your hands so they stand out for you as this internal resource?
Yeah, they feel really strong and supportive. Also really gentle, like soothing.
So the quality of strength and gentleness that are present in your hands, so you can protect yourself, you can push away, you can also pull towards yourself, you can bring your hands onto your physical body to resource yourself. Let's take a few more deep full breaths. Let's keep going. Just know that your hands are there for you. At any time you need to shift your attention away from activation. Let's continue with deep, full breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. We're imagining that the inhalation is a half a circle and exhalation is another half a circle. So one breath makes up a complete circle. So we're filling up our lungs. This is the activity on inhalation. On exhalation, we just let go and drop. So when we exhale, there's no action. We let the body exhale on its own. And as you can see, as Bella is breathing, naturally the movement started in her spine. And this is the movement that we want to encourage, the movement that's happening in the body simply because you're breathing, chest is rising and falls, and there is this soft movement of the spine that begins to arise. And the reason why we start to bring our breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, is that we want to build the charge gently. We don't want to go right away into the mouth breathing, where we bring in the activation right away. We want to build the charge slowly, so we have something to work with that's not overwhelming. And of course, the mouth breath, if you go right away into the mouth breath, the charge will come up way quicker. So, as I'm tuning in to Bella's broadcast, I have an impulse from my body to bring my touch, an energetic touch, like just around the solar plexus area. So I just come to that area and just pause for a moment. And you can see, even when I first started to speak about it, make an intention to come, her body was already going into some sort of response to it. A bit of tremoring that's happening. Now we have an impulse to move my hand to this area. Yeah, so she switched to the mouth breath on her own. I didn't have to guide her to it, which is totally okay. And for me, that she has enough resilience in her body to be with a with a bigger charge. Yeah, she's done a lot of this work. Somebody who's very traumatized, you don't want so much charge. Yeah. So I stay here for another few breaths and notice how her body responds. And then I withdraw. You are supporting, you're not always engaged with your calm. You come in, assist somehow, and then you step back, let them process your presence on their own. Yeah, great. So let's bring in more of that arms movement, so you can move that charge. Yes. And if you guys are having your receivers on, I want to hear from you. What do you pick up? Where would you go right now? Shoulders, yes. Anyone else? Chest open, yeah. It's generally this area, right? From the head down to about the diaphragm, that would be the area that I would focus on. There's already a lot of movement there, so the focus would be is to support the expansion of this movement. Yeah, very good. Yeah, big full breath. I'm going to bring in the lightest touch just at the surface of the skin of the body. her response was the voice started to happen right away. As soon as I touched, the vocal expression came. Resource. It's kind of a natural process that happened. You saw the energy build. It came to peak. Expression happened. And then moving to resource again. So now Bella is exploring her own resource, her hands. Come back to her own body. So I help her to go deeper into the resource, because I represent the external resource to her as a supporter. So I represent also a space of safety and connection. She trusts me. We have established the connection over the time that we know each other, and she's been in the workshop, so she allows me to be there. Now with our second round of activation. You saw how it's building, coming to a peak, releasing another valley, and then again beginning to come to another peak. So we're not just pushing, get high, and then let out. We want to stay present. Very good. So let's keep exploring. Deep, full breath. Now pull. It has nothing to do with my decision where to touch. It's an impulse that my body has, and I'm following this impulse. To housekeep also, and really slowly relax your throat. Yes. Sounds differently now. When breath comes out, there's more relaxation on that front breath, so it's not monitoring the out breath. Very good. So now there is this unwinding movement of the spine, so with just very superficial touch, I'm kind of following that movement of the spine that's happening. Very good. Let's stay there. Let's keep that. Very good. Another energetic touch technique that I found works really well is when you go above the body and you go like this with your fingers. Or you go into a certain area. And you do that, so you're kind of working in this energetic field, and usually the client responds. You can see how this happens. It's like magic. If you were me now, what would you do? Would you stay where I am, or would you move in to do anything? So how many elements do you see are present right now in this session? There's breath, there's movement, there's sound, touch comes in and out.